Good afternoon. I've just finished reading Ask for Andrea by Noelle W. Ihli. So I guess this is a crime story since it's not really a murder mystery, even though it is about murder. There aren't actually any mystery elements to it. So this story follows three different main characters in rotating first-person point of view. All three of these women have one major thing in common, which was that they were all murdered by the same serial killer over the span of about 2 years. Victim number one, Brusha, originally met this guy on a dating app. Like, he seemed really nice at first, but then she started noticing him showing up at weird places and reacting in negative ways when she spent time with her friends and things like that. So eventually she blocked him, kicked him out of her life, but was getting stalked by him and eventually strangled in the yard of her own house. Victim number two was called Megan. She also met this guy on a dating app and also thought at first that he seemed different from the rest of the crowd, somehow more of a gentleman, handsome, actually listens to the things she says and everything. But on the way back from a date, he drugged her, took her out into the woods and strangled her. So victim number three is the only one who did not meet him on a dating app, but only I guess the dating app is his typical MO, but she was actually a soon-to-be college student who was working at a coffee shop, and the killer frequented the place where she worked. He'd kind of flirted with her, I guess, in their interactions, and she thought he seemed like a really nice man. So on her way back from work one day, she makes the terrible mistake of agreeing to let him give her a ride. So she gets in his car and unsurprisingly, he drives her out into the middle of nowhere, and she's also left strangled. So after all three of these women die, they discover that their spirits are actually still around. So they get to see what happens as the people around them start to realize that they have gone missing and that something terrible may have happened, and start to get in touch with the police, and they follow some of the events as investigations and stuff finally begin to unfold. So something interesting, or something that I liked about this story, I think I liked seeing the many little connections and actions between people that do eventually lead to justice being served, I guess. I think one scene really stuck in my head of Megan when she was seeing this woman drive by on the road, because she's, her body was left somewhere that people just don't go. So it's she was there for so long that you basically have nothing but bones left. But she kept hoping that, someone would find her shoe, because her shoe was on the side of the road. And then one day, this woman who was driving by and crying, never really says what was happening in her life, but when she got out of the car, she did actually see the shoe, and she took pictures of it and reported it to the park police because she thought it looked like it might have had blood stains. And that's kind of the key thing that started people actually on the right track of finding her body and figuring out that she was murdered and tracking down her killer. And then there was the police woman who really, I think, has to get a lot of the credit for actually catching the killer, because she's super methodical and doesn't give up. She just kept going, I guess, even when people tried to get in her way or tried to discourage the investigation, or maybe other people might have given up because it seems too hard and stuff like that. She was just, she followed her hunches and was really persistent about it. These people that touch their lives, I guess, in different ways and end up making things actually work out okay. I think it has kind of an interesting take on death that also ties in with this idea of connections, because they have these women find that they are able to visit not only their own past memories and so on, but the memories and lives of people whose lives were important to them. It's kind of like, so people who they love and who have loved them, like that forms a connection that allows them to become or remain part of each other's consciousnesses, I guess, even after they die. So yeah, I think that was an interesting thing to witness in the story. Something I did not like. I felt a little bit like the fact that they were lingering around as ghosts and everything didn't didn't have much bearing on the story. Like, they're able to affect the world so little that I wasn't sure what the point was even of telling the story this way. Like, because they aren't able to talk to anyone, they aren't able to, they can maybe make the light bulbs turn off, but they can't actually hurt anyone or move anything or say anything that people will actually react to. So for the most part, I think for about 3/4 of the story, you mostly just have each of these characters watching events unfold, and I think it got very frustrating. Like, I wasn't even sure why they were the main character, because they weren't the ones who did any of the actions that led to any kind of resolution. Like, I guess you can kind of say that they helped save like some lives near the end, but it could also just as well have been a coincidence. So basically, I guess it felt like they had so little impact on what was actually happening in the world that even though they all wanted to bring this guy to justice, I don't actually feel like they contributed all that much to making that actually happen, and I found that really frustrating.